If the rates go up, then good thing, you're locked in at this rate that you have. If rates go down, we're able to refinance.
Interest rates are at its peak right now. You don't know that. You don't know whether interest rates have peaked until after they peaked.
Is your income stable? That's what we want to see.
If you're going to rent, you also have to ask the question, am I comfortable with the payment?
Once I am in this house, am I able to afford every time there is a problem? Secure the asset so that you will watch the market from the comfort of your own home.
Is now a good time to buy a house? On this episode of Major Money Matters. All right, welcome back to another episode of Major Money Matters. Happy to have my brother online because we have these conversations and we just press record and have conversations with a bunch of people watching on YouTube. So, brother, how's it going?
Hey, all is well. One of those reoccurring topics that we get to discover, we answer this question all the time. So, hey, since we've got to answer it all the time, why don't we just let it live on YouTube forever, at least for this year, and then we'll do it again next year.
Yeah, so I want to talk about 2025, what's going on in 2025, and it's really an evergreen question because the same question I answered in 2025 or is the same question we answered in 2024 and the same question we answered in 2023. So we get this question all the time. And the question is not, is now a good time to buy a house? The question actually is
now a good time to buy a house for you?
Exactly. So, sometimes people look at the market and try to predict the market, or, people will say things like, well, the interest rates are at its peak right now. You don't know that. You don't know whether interest rates have peaked until after they peaked. We're buying a house at the top of the market. You don't know whether it's the top of the market. If you could tell that, then you'd be on a beach in Martinique and you would not be buying a house here in the US. You'd probably be chilling someplace on an island and probably own your own deserted island.
Yeah, so true. You would have a completely different profession because you are able to predict the market. And no, we can't do that.
We have no way of doing that. And, sometimes people call us and they say this thing. So we want to lay out some questions that you should be able to answer for you, because it might be a good time for you to buy a house and not a good time for your friend or your coworker to buy a house. You really don't know. Even if interest rates are at 2%, it could be a bad time for you to buy a house. And it's not time, you can't time the market. It's about time in the market. So, brother, let's back up a minute. Tell us about buying your first home and what your ideas were of buying your first home, what was going on in the market, if you remember, and then, what the situation was when you sold that home.
Okay, so I don't quite remember what was going on in the market. It was my first home. I was very naive, didn't know. I had some colorful analogy right there, but I just didn't know what was going on, So my first house that we purchased on a VA loan, it was what we could afford at the time. We didn't care. I didn't even know anything about interest rate. I didn't know anything is all I can say. I just did not know.
Yeah. So you bought that home in what year?
That home was purchased in 2013.
Cool. Can you tell us how much you bought that home for? Don't even know.
I don't even remember.
This is the epitome of ignorance right here. This is the stuff I deal with, guys. Forget about this, guys. This is my brother. Listen, all the good seed was used up on me and my sister. And now you guys get to see the leftover seed of my father.
That's a horrible thing to say.
Oh goodness. All right. So you sold the home when?
Sold that home in 2018.
Okay, cool. So you had that home for about 5-6 years?
Yeah, 5 years. Yep.
Okay, cool. And then you sold that home. Can you tell us how much you walked away with on that home when you sold that home?
Walked away from that home, I think with maybe about $40,000, maybe.
Okay, cool. So you walked away with 40 grand. You weren't paying, you just know you had to find a place for your family to live.
Right. So, interesting thing about that home is that I paid it off before we sold it.
Wow.
I paid it off before we sold it. And yeah, me and my wife paid it off. God is good all the time. We paid that house off, but our family was growing. And so my wife was pregnant again when we started our home building process. We built our second home. So my wife was pregnant when we started building that house, but we knew that we were moving up in home.
Sure. So you bought the second home in when?
Bought the second home closed on it in 2018.
Perfect. And you closed in 2018, and then you sold that home in
2022.
Perfect. And how much did you walk away on that home with?
$250,000.
Perfect. Awesome. Great. Now, 2018, you don't know that COVID is coming. Nobody knew. Okay. No. That COVID was coming. And of course, in there, you got some great appreciation with the infamous COVID bump. So you can't really say, hey, I'm going to buy a house in 2018 because I'm going to make $250,000 in 2022 when I sell this house. You don't really know that. So You can't really time the market. You don't know what factors are going to exist. We bought our home in Hawaii in 2016, 2017, something like that. And then we sold it in 2021. And we walked away with about $700,000 and use that money to put down on another property. You don't know what's going to happen. I just knew I needed to buy my family a house, and me and my wife knew, hey, probably is the time to buy a house. So we've looked at our process of buying homes, and we want to go through just some thoughts, 5 questions that you probably should have the answer to. When you're figuring out, is now a good time for you to buy a home? Because everybody's economic situation is different. And as we help people through this, we coach people on this stuff like, hey, is now a good time for me to buy a house? So these are some questions that we recommend people ask themselves about their situation. And the first one is about your job. So is your income or your job situation stable? Okay, that's question number 1. So what we don't want is we don't want you to have the stress of buying a home if you are losing a job. Or if you know that there's some flexibility in your job, you need to buy a house with that in mind, okay? Whether if you're planning to have kids and your spouse may stay home or something like that, you want to buy a house with that income drop in mind, okay? So stability of employment is probably the first thing or stability of income. It might be self-employed or whatever. So that's the first thing that I would actually take a look at.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's something that as lenders and as mortgage brokers, we are going to evaluate as well. And we know what the underwriters are going to want to see. So we, when we do pre-approvals, we go ahead and verify, is your income, be it from a business, be it from being self-employed, be it from being W-2 employed, is it stable? That's what we want to see. Stability to us equals 2 years. Okay.
Yeah.
So we want to know if this income has been consistent because that is an indicator that it will continue to be consistent. But we look back over the course of 2 years.
So speaking of consistency, and people ask this question all the time about verifications of employment. So we have to do a verification of employment within 10 days of closing. And we'll have realtors ask like, wait a minute, you haven't verified the employment and all of this stuff. And why wasn't this done earlier and everything? Pipe down, relax, okay? Bring it down a little bit. This is a guideline, okay? Even if we verified employment 30 days ago, the lender is going to verify within 10 days that you actually have a job. Case in point, brother, remember who was it, the football player that stripped off his pads in the middle of the game?
That was AB, Antonio Brown.
And I was like, this is why lenders do a verification of employment, because you never know. And truth be told, we've had some situations where people lost their job 2 days before closing or lost their job in escrow. You never really know. But stability of employment is the first thing. Brother, what's the second thing you think, we should be looking at or people should be asking themselves when we're talking about, buying a home?
Am I comfortable with the payments?
So this is an interesting one because people think it's about interest rate. And, interest rate has an impact on payment, but there are some times when, if you say, hey, it's all about the interest rate, well, I can have a higher interest rate with lower private mortgage insurance and my monthly payment actually be lower at a higher interest rate. Or I can have a different loan program and I'm doing something else where, okay, great, I could, I'm not getting necessarily the payment that I want or the interest rate that I want, but am I actually comfortable with this payment? Which, by the way, if you're going to rent, you also have to ask the question, am I comfortable with the payment?
Absolutely. And that's going to determine where you rent. I mean, do you rent with bulletproof windows? Or do you rent with bars on your windows? Or, do you have an in-house masseuse? Do you have shops and cafes and a Starbucks downstairs? Like, what are you comfortable with paying, even if you were paying rent? That question still applies when you purchase a house.
I was talking to one of my realtor partners the other day, and they were talking about this new area or this condo area where the rent is like 4 bars, like $4,000 a month that people are paying in this, luxury, condo area or something like that. And listen, you got to make a decision about renting. And you might say, hey, well, I can rent right now for $1,000 because that's what my parents charge me, to stay in the basement. And if I go buy a place, I have to buy and it's going to cost me $3,700. You got to make that decision about whether, well, I want to buy and I want my monthly payment to be about $1,500. I mean, in some part of the United States might happen. DFW, your taxes alone is going to be $500 or $600. So, if within the Metroplex, it's going to be hard to find a house for $200,000. So, you have to make a decision about what is comfortable for you and a monthly payment. By the way, brother, one question we never answer is, hey, can I afford that? Okay. We don't answer that question. The reason why is because we don't know whether you like to go to Mexico or the Caribbean every other weekend. We don't know what else you have going on. We tell you what the monthly payment is. You are a consenting adult. You're consenting to this monthly payment. So you have to make the decision about whether you actually can afford this. We can't make those decisions for you.
Right. The only things that we can account for, we look at the things that are listed on your credit report or your FICO report. Those are called your liabilities. Okay. So we're going to look at your income that you produce every month, and we're going to look at your liabilities. Now, there is a delta there of money that is left over. And Major, like you said, I don't know if you like to go to Fogo de Chow's every Friday, with 6 people and foot the bill. Like I don't know your habits. I don't know your spending habits, and I have no judgments for them because you are an adult and you can spend your money however you want to, but you've got to be able to answer the affordability question.
Yeah, I mean, more realistic speaking, I don't know whether you have 3 kids in private school. I don't know whether you're actually paying your parents' mortgage also. But so this, $5,000 a month surplus that we see, is actually being absorbed by a $2,500 payment that you're paying for your elderly parents or something like that. We don't know that. So when we never answered the affordability question. Okay, we have some general guidelines as far as, monthly payment. It used to be that you can say, hey, I want my my housing expense to be a fourth of my take home pay. You used to be able to say that. Now, I'm like, if you're there, you're rolling in it, really, because most people are not there. You're more likely at a third or a little bit above a third, on a housing. It's just the cost of living right now.
You're absolutely correct. I mean, there's so many different, YouTube videos or whatever that have explained that our incomes have not risen with home prices.
And you just got to make the decision whether you want to pay it or not.
You just got to figure that out. You're absolutely right.
Number 3 that I would say you have to answer the question is really a question for you as the buyer. What is my exit strategy? So, Marion, you're Army guy. Okay. So when you were in the Army, what'd they tell you?
Be ready. You know what? You've got to be ready at a moment's notice. Okay. And so you may receive orders to PCS, permanent change of station. You might receive orders, to move on a property, but it really boils down to, am I going to stay in the property 3 years, 5 years, 7 years? What is my exit strategy? And quite frankly, tell God your plans if you want to make them laugh,
Yeah, absolutely.
So you might plan to, when me and my wife built our second home, we said, this is our forever home. And everything, we built that house. I watched them dig the basement, pour the foundation, frame the house. I mean, I have pictures of every single stage because this was my forever home. And we were going to raise our kids in this house for the next 20 years. Okay.
And 4 years later.
We sold it 4 years later.
I think the whole concept of a forever home is really, I think it's kind of like a lost art, if you will, because people will say, I'm going to be here forever. Well, a job change, a life situation change, the kids grow up and move out, all of this stuff. The forever home concept is just kind of, I'm like, okay, whatever.
So I just got a bar. Okay. Uh-huh. The forever home is as prevalent now as retiring from a job and getting a pension after 20 years.
That's true.
It just does not happen anymore.
Yeah. I mean, many buyers that we help are, 60, 70, 80 years of age. And they're moving out of a house that they've lived in for 20 years. So, I guess forever, if you interpret forever as a long time, sure. But, it's one of those things where life happens and you kind of just transition. So number four, what's the fourth thing you think that, we should be asking, brother?
Number 4 is, can I afford this house? Now, this is a different question than the first, can I afford this house? Because the first, can I afford this house? It spoke to the amount of money that you pay outside of your living situation. Can I afford this house? Now, this, can I afford this house, is once I am in this house, am I able to afford now being an owner and not being able to call a landlord every time there is a problem?
When you own the house, you own all of the house, okay? Just like you get all the appreciation, you get all of the headache. We built a custom home. Dallas, Texas built a custom home. I will tell you, for the first year, my sprinkler system caused me an absolute headache. It was a pain in my butt. Every time somebody would come over, cut the sprinkler line. I'm like, why wasn't the sprinkler line dug deeper? The guys came over and they were putting something in. They were putting digging some wire. They dig a hole in the ground, hit the sprinkler line. Like, why did you not, you knew the sprinklers were here someplace. It was always a constant headache with the stinking sprinkler lines, man. And guess what? Guess who had to pay for it?
You did, as the homeowner.
I did.
So let's talk about another one that you did here recently.
Yeah.
You put in that big pool in the backyard, huh?
Oh man. And now guess what they did? Dig up my sprinkler system all over again. It was so ridiculous. They dug up my sprinkler system and cut my my internet cable and everything. Guess who had to pay for the internet guys to come out? It's just, and people will say, hey, they'll buy these big, and we help people finance homes at 150,000. We help people finance at 1.5 million. We help people finance at 5 million. All of these things go on, and people will say like, oh, I can afford the monthly payment. It is so much more than the monthly payment. It's the electric. Okay. It's, you have a 5,000 square foot home. Well, that's a $700 a month electric bill or something like that. All of these things go into actually affording the house. I think Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac did a study that said 1 to 3% or something like that of the value of your home will be spent annually just maintaining that home.
Right. So if you have a $400,000 house, just for a round figure, on the low end, they predict, or according to studies, that you'll pay about $4,000 during the course of a year in order to maintain that house, on up to maybe even about $12,000. So things are going to happen. Me and my wife, we returned home from Las Vegas. We were on vacation one summer. Went to Las Vegas, came home. Both of our air conditioner units, upstairs and downstairs, had gone out.
Both of them.
I will tell you, 96 degrees in the house. And if you want a situation where a wife is unhappy with the world, I'm like, baby, I didn't do it. Remember, I was with you. We were having a good time. Remember, we stayed at the resort and it was great and we were lovey-dovey. And then we get home and she's mad at me because the house is hot.
This is the way it happens, bro. It's your fault. And guess what? If she would have called me, I would have said, brother, this is your fault. You should have known that this was going to happen. I'm really disappointed in you. You should have projected this.
Immediately, that turned into $5,000 at one time to replace 2 air conditioning units.
And I'll tell you one thing that never happens. Air conditioners never go out in the wintertime. It's ridiculous.
They never go out when it's 70 degrees outside. Never. Absolutely. You can have that mug blowing. If it's about 95, that AC is about to go out and everybody's going to be mad at you. Yes.
All right. Last question you have to answer here is, do I have savings? Okay. Do I have savings? That's the final question you got to answer, because really, let me tell you, we always have this thing. Our interest rates are higher right now, brother. So people will say, hey, I want to refinance. And I will say, when interest rates drop and people find an opportunity to refinance, I will say about 40% of people we go back to and say, hey, now's the time to refinance. We can't refinance them because they did what was required to get into the home. Now they said, oh, we're going to go crazy. We're going to spend all this money. We're putting everything on a credit card, and we're going to charge up our credit cards and maxed out. That's going to drive that credit score down, and you can't refinance because you didn't have any savings in your savings account. And guess what? It never fails. I have bought 4 homes that me and my wife have actually lived in, 4 homes. Somehow, my wife wants furniture. every time we buy a home. I'm like, this is absolutely amazing to me. That and you know, I always say, well, we all have wives. It's this, we have the same wife in a different body. It's the same wife.
Somehow the furniture that we moved into this house with, it served us. It served us. It was good. The couches were good to sit on. The beds were good to sleep in. I mean, the dining room set was good to eat off of.
Now,
But somehow when there are new walls, they somehow require new furniture.
New furniture, new dining room table. Okay. Somehow, although this is a brand new house, we now have to paint the wall. We have to paint the paint that they did to paint the paint that we selected at the design center.
It's not good.
And guess what? If you don't have savings, you're going to put it on a credit card. You're going to open a Home Depot credit card. You're going to say everything's fine. We're already in our house now. And then, you know, the reality is you're going to end up going into debt because you don't have savings in a savings account.
You're absolutely right. And when the opportunity comes for you to then knock $400, $500 off of your monthly mortgage, which is huge, to knock $500 off of your mortgage. When that opportunity comes in the form of being able to refinance and a mortgage rate drop, okay, you're not going to be able to take advantage of that, and you will keep yourself in a financially stressed situation if you were not prepared from the very beginning.
So those are the things we think you should think about when you're buying a home. And, you know, I think we answered the question all over again. Like, is now a good time to buy a house? And people in the media will screw a bunch of things up. Okay. They're like, oh, now's not a great time to buy a house. And I'm like, and people will come to me like, I don't think it's a great time to buy. Well, you believe you're going to be in this area for 5 to 8 years. You got $300,000 saved in the bank, but you're trying to worry about the market. Okay. I mean, what are you worried about? Okay. When is going to be a better time? Okay. It's always interesting about interest rates. When interest rates are going up, you know, when we hit that 5% mark, people are like, well, I don't want to pay 5%. You hit that 6% mark, people, I don't want to pay 6%. But right now, if I call up somebody and say, hey, 5.99, oh yeah, sign me up, I'll take it right now. It's the same 5.99 that it was when rates were going up. You know, nothing's changed. It's the same thing. It's just our perception of it.
Yeah. And I'll part with this, brother. What I tell buyers when they ask me that question, okay, number one, we answer these 5, okay? But when we're talking about is it a good time, I say secure the asset. Secure the asset. Because once you have the asset, then rates can do what they want to do. And we can make adjustments to those rates. If the rates go up, then good thing, you're locked in at this rate that you have. If rates go down, we're able to refinance. But secure the asset so that you will watch the market from the comfort of your own home.
Absolutely. Always a great conversation, brother. I will talk to you soon, and we will see you next time on Major Money Matters.